Hey everyone, so today MMPH 004 again, today block number 2, and block number 2 contains the unit number 6, 7, 8 and 9. There are 4 units in the block 2. So block unit number 6 is a block number 2 is a trade unions, and 6 is a development and function of the trade unions. Unit 7 is your trade union structures and the leadership and his recognitions. And unit number 8 is your managerial unionisms. 9 is your employment relations and non-union firms. So now we have to concentrate on unit number 6, that is development of the function and the trade unions. The process, first of all, the process of the modern industrializations is paved the path of the emergence of the trade unions, and gradually the trade unions have become an integral and powerful force in the contemporary system of the productions and the distribution of goods and services. Because the global economy and global structures, or we can say the environment, is totally now changing, especially the business world is now changing. So because of that, we have to know very deeply the trade unionisms. The trade unionisms are, it is a boost, basically it will help the business, and directly, indirectly it will create a industrial relationships between the industries and the employees. So trade union is just like a one way, it is the interface systems who can deal with both the sides, and it is imperative to know all these things in details, because global changing in especially human psychology and as well as the advancement of the technology. So that's why both the things have to be clubbed, and who will do some pivotal points should be there. That is your trade unionisms can do all these things. So employers organizations are formal groups of the employees. Is a set of to define the represent of the advice and your affiliated employees, and to strengthen their positions in security and in society at large with the respect to labor millions besides the economic matters. It is composed of the enterprises, the employees, employers, organizations are composed of the enterprises. That is the development of the trade unionisms in India. It can be situated under the following stages. There are different stages of this. How it has come, some background or history, different movements. So period of the First World War, that from the 1875 to 1918, that is one of the stage. That time what was there. And then between the two great wars, that is your 1998, 1919, 1918 and 1938. And then we see after the Second World War, that is in 1939 to 1947. So that is the Second World War, we know that time it has happened. And then fifth stages are post-independence period, that is 1947 to as on date. So there are 5 stages are given, and you can analyze it, the trade unionisms earlier what was there and now. So there are different stages you can see, and how much changes evolve that part. Now a mass meeting was organized in Bombay. I think just I'm giving you some of the history of the trade unionisms in India. So first in the Bombay, it is April 1890, which was estimated to have been mandated by the about 10,000 workers, and some resolution was there, or, was passed in the meeting, raising the following demands. Some of the demands was there, and that, so first things weekly off, that resolutions passed at that time. Then half an hour rest at noon in the after the lunch periods. Reducing the working hours, earlier maybe 10 hours or 12 hours, depending on the owner of the company. There is no philosophy, there no policy was there. So now this, based on these resolutions in 1890, that has been declared that your hours will be 8 hours. Payment of wages not later than 15th day of the every month. So suppose a particular salary reimbursement, so that should not be, if it is possible in the first week, by the 7th, or maximum time is the 15th day of each month. Compensation to injuries sustained by a worker on duty. If in the duty time, if any injures or if any injury, that compensation should be given by the organizations. So that type of resolutions there. There are so many other resolutions are there. That is now the Bombay Mill and Associations. Following the formation of the Bombay Mill and Associations, a number of unions were formed in different parts of the country, as given below. After that, so many unions have been formed. The Amalgamation Society of the Railway Servants of the India and Burma for European and Anglo-Indian railway employees. They have also formed one associations. Then your the Printers Union of Calcutta, the press printers, they are 1905. Then Bombay Postal Union at Calcutta and Madras in 1907. Then the Kamgar Hidbagdaks Sabha, then 1909, and the Social Service League, this is 1910. There's so many there, the few of the I'm just stating you. Now the factor behind what are the factors responsible for these situations? Whereas the following, some of the factors. The grave economic difficulties created by the war resulted in an increased trend of the industrial unrest, because due to war, totally disturbed. The industrialization stopped. The people are struggling. So that time, to stabilize the things, some association has formed, and they have to regulate the things, all these things. The raising cost of the living made, and the workers took collective actions for the increase in their wages. So is there some factor behind the story, how this union has formed, what are the purpose behind it, and why it has happened. So these are basically the structures. Then the Swaraj movement, it is widening the gulf between the employers and the employees, and the mass awakening among the workers demanding recital equalities with their British employers, and further intensified the movement. Then emergence of the revolutionary wave of the ideas, class consciousness, and the self-respect among the workers from the Russian revolutions in 1917. That time, some of the consciousness has developed in their mind. The establishment of the your 1919, that ILO has established, that is your international labor organizations, giving dignity to the workers all over the world. They have given some of the rules, some of the your terms, as they have already guidelines. Basically, the guidelines is given. The non-cooperation movement led by the Mahatma Gandhi, as we know, during the 1920 to 21, and his support to the demands of the working class also greatly influenced the labor movements. So these are some of the factors behind it. Now the present scenario of the trade union movements. The present scenario, this is the Indian trade unions have now got a legal status. Earlier it was not there, it is now legal status. They have to give us registrations and they have to licensing, everything are given by the government. And this no more ad hoc bodies or strike committees. So they have now become a permanent permanent features of the industrial society. So union federations which help in the determinations of the principles, philosophy, ideology and the purpose of the unions and give some sense of directions to the otherwise scattered and the isolated unions. So how it has registered the systems are, earlier it was not there, not recognized by the government. Now these changes are manifested by in three ways. This is whatever the changes has gone even in the scenario, that is in three phases. That is one of your political leaders have secondary interest in the labor union activities. Now more emphasis has been paid to labor leaderships by the giving more attention to the improvement of the union cadre, finance and training in the official administrations. The national federations have shown keen interest in long-term activities, even in the maintaining their rivals' characters. Now federations arrange for the training for the workers. So now trade unions functions as autonomous units further than supply and the appendage of the political parties. So some of the basic functions. The important basic functions of the trade unions. It is listed by the National Commission on the Labor Code. Basically to secure for the workers fair wages, to safeguard the security of the tenure and the improvement conditions of the service, so that they can live happily with their families. So that type of fair should be there, and especially some of the safeguard securities that also to be given during his service periods. Some security has to be given. To enlarge the opportunities for the promotion and the training, they should have a promotion schemes. When suppose for particular grade, W1, W2, W3, whatever the grades are there, that should be in certain time frame should be there. Maybe after 3 years, after 4 years or 5 years, that some of the group of workers will be eligible for that post. Again, definitely some performance, some other activities will be considered during the things. So then some promotion and in between some training programming also should be there, so that they should enhance their skills also. To improve the working and the living conditions. This is all of the basic functions. What we are discussing, that is the basic function should be there. You have to company or organizations should be look after the matters. Working conditions should be good, because they have to, basically the conditioning, working conditionings, they are the environments, air, circulation of the airs, then your water and other amenities, first aid, everything should be there, medical facilities, medical assistance, some ambulance should be provided, should be kept ready for this if any occurrence, any injuries or something. So that all these things are basically overall the living conditions to be improved. So that is the functions. Apart from that, the cooperative and the facilitate the technological advance by the uh, broadening the understanding of the workers and the underlining the issues, because now it is very much required, because when we are talking about the artificial intelligence or different learning machineries, machine languages, so definitely we have to train the present existing workers to up to that levels, because the latest state of the art technology are very fast. It is now penetrating, I mean, everywhere. So we have to have a greater programs, training programs, their educations, so that they can very easily adopt it, the latest technologies, and understanding the things. So that's why some of the cooperative facilities also should be there, so that they can have a group, they can discuss their problems, they can solve their themselves. So that cooperative things are very much required uh, to solve the day-to-day situations. To promote the identity of the interest of the workers with their industry, that is also required, because that is one of the function we can say, because how to create the interest so that they can be more productive, they can commit it to the works. That type of things are to be poured in their mind. Mindset has to be changed accordingly, and happiness, definitely they should work with a happiness. In happy mood they should do all these things. And another thing also, the health. Health is also is priority nowadays, because they have to workers' health are very important. If they are not, their weakness can be reflected in their product also. To offer the responsive cooperations in improving the level of the productions and the productivity, discipline, and the high standard of quality. Last two things are the parameters, you can say, that is your discipline and the high standard of quality. It is very much needed as the present scenario when we are India trading with other countries, some Europe, when we are planning to export some of the things to the Europe country or other country, definitely we have to have a quality is one of the parameters, or that dimension we have to work it. So our workers, our employees should be focused on that area, and this, so that they can do in better way without any mistake, and and the quality should be maintained. And discipline in the sense of in the business point of view, discipline means in time, within the time frame to finish it, you should have be committed. There shouldn't be any errors, or I mean, quarterly you have to do all these things. Some brotherhoodness is required, and there should not be any shortcut things also to be there. Discipline is as such like this. Time management is also very important. To promote the individual and the collective welfare, that is also one of the your for the development purposes we are talking about these things. So to promote them, and that should be collective welfare also required. Maybe you have to organize some of the cultural programs, or maybe see their family welfareness also is very important. Education schemes, so that they can happily can work in the work in their industries. Economic functions. Now, when you are talking about the economic functions, so this is underlining some of the idea. The forming of the trade unions is in the is to acquire the collective strength, protecting and the advancing term of the conditions of the employment of its members. So we have to protect their employment, whatever the conditions are there, and you have to advancing their life also. Then negotiating and the setting terms and the condition of the employment and the remuneration. So you have to set some of the terms and conditions. Economically, you can see point of view. Then improving the status and the working and the living conditions of the workers. So that status improvements, because they should not be stagnant in particular one point, and it is harmful for the both way, because the individuals and from the organizations also. So to continue their productivity, some scheme should be there so that they can improve their working capability, enhance their works, or rather I can say the capacity building are very important. Then only their condition will be improved. Promoting the economic and the social interest of its members. That also you have to promote. I mean, the industry should look after these things. Socially, how they can be connected, and to create some of the interest on that areas. It means not necessarily you have to go in the social systems and deliver something, or no, when you are in the working conditions in your industries, whatever is the package, what are the work, what are the assignments you are doing, that is socially how much it is important, that consciousness are required. Yes, I am doing for the social systems, that quality of this product will be served by the nations, served by the humans, and they have to use it, so I have to commit these things. So the 100% you can give it to this way. That is the socially you have to connect it. Then social functions carried out by the trade unions are as follows. Now the social functions, what the way you can carry it out in the trade union, what the role of the trade union, rather I can say, that is initiating and developing the workers' educations. I just highlighted and bolded this portion why this is important. The workers' education scheme are very much necessary. Then your organization's welfare and recreationals, as I said, some of the programs, it is from the recreation purposes also, so that they can energize. They have to rejuvenate the things. So yes, charging, basically the charging the things. So these are activities such as your mutual insurance you are giving, or maybe the providing some monetary benefits, so that they can feel okay, I have done that, performance has been recognized, and other help during the period of this strike and economic distress, because some of the companies loss of maybe the production is that profitable margin is not there. You cannot cut down their salary as much, so that conditions also you have to look after at least there. And then in the strike period also you have to at least food or their day-to-day necessary things, you cannot stop these things. So that also to be looked after. Then running the cooperatives, then providing the housing facilities is also one of the matters, because these workers are coming from the different areas. Maybe they have the travel time is more. By the time they have to fatigue, I mean when they are reach in the factory, they cannot able to perform the work in a full place. So that if they are in the quarantine nearby the factory or in the industries, they can come very easily, or company can provide some of the chartered buses or some of the, so that the worker can come comfortably, can reach in the company and they can provide this. So some sort of things are required. Housing is also important, because they can feel need not to go back, they should not be hurried to go back to home at the time of evening times, and they should not feel so much struggle like that, because the next morning again they have to come back in the office. So that things are very important. So housing facilities are very important. It will impact very much. Then participating in the community development and the community protection activities, because that is it will boost or to create some of the cordial relationships can be built up, interpersonal relationship can be built up when you are in a community developed, get together some of the multi-purpose purpose hall should be there, where they can gather, they can discuss some things, so they can enjoy some of the food also, they can chit chat, whatever the way. So it will create some of the community things. I mean, we are in a part of the systems, and they can share their problems or happiness. What are the way they can also share these things? And sometimes it is a protection also. Some of the they are facing a problem, other can help them. So that is the way some protections, some of the protections everybody have are a part of these things. Then emerging in the cultural activities, it is very much needed. What are the rituals? What about the caste? Because in our country there is diversity, so much languages, so much regionals, their belief systems are different, faith systems are different. So we have to respect each others, and every rituals to participate to everybody, so that give a respect to the others regions public. So that way you can cordially and develop the cultures also. Cultures are coming by the giving and taking process also. Cooperating with the governmental agencies in social welfare programs, that is very important, because what are the governmental agencies are there in the labor laws, labor code, other so many agencies are there. So there some of the cooperations are very much needed. Then only that program can be successful, because they involve the agencies are things, because they are expert, they can scrutinize the things, they can monitor the things. So it is required. There, if any eventuality or any dispute or something, they can manage the things. So that their involvement are the government agencies are very much in these social welfare programs. Their presence are it will be very beneficial. Then political functions. Carrying on the political educations of the workers, it is then obtaining the political power and influence through the developing political parties of their own, because they have to focus on their own, their ideologies, their principles. They have to try to develop this part only, and extending help to candidates of other political parties who are sympathetic to cause of the labor. But here actually some problem is the political parties should be look the benefit of the workers, not their agenda points. So focus should be there. Then only other political parties, labor, those who are supporting, everybody will be jointly can do these things. Carrying on the lobbying activities for influencing the course of labor and other legislations, then you are participating in and representing the workers on the advisory institutions and the bodies, protesting against the governmental decisions and measures discriminatory to the interests of the workers. Suppose if it is needed, suppose some protection is required for the some issues, because any scheme, any things are 100% not proven, because some of the group of people will be happy, some of the group of people will be unhappy. So somewhere some stability is required, somewhere some of the equilibriums conditions are to be maintained. So that's why some protest things means, in the sense the government decisions are there, maybe they have analysis of everything in a very consensus mode, but still some discussions are required to clarify the things, all this. So that is the basically ultimate aim. Everything, government decisions, political parties or unions or employees, everything focus will be ultimate aim to for the interests of the workers. That should be the main point. International functions. International functions where the participating in the organization, as I said, because now we are in a verge of the export. Earlier it was not import was more, now export was less. Now we just slowly we are increasing the export items to the more, and we are trying to import less so that we can have a self-sufficient in our things. So that's why some international functions are very important. Uh, that's why the participation in ILO is one of the, we have to follow these ILO activities, what are the norms and things, 100% that things. Then only you can have a good market in the international market. So that functions we should know what are the functions are there. Associating with the international federations of the trade unions such as your World Federation of Trade Unions, there is a WFTU. So you should know what are the international federations are appended there. I mean, what are the things are there, and that should be followed in some extent at least. What are the conditions as given? Then another international confederation of the union, your trade unions, that is ICFTU, and the international trade union secretaries for the purpose of the building the working class unity and the solidarity, and sending the monetary and your other help to workers of the other countries during the period of needs. So when you are sending some of the to help the workers of the other union, so what are the norms are there, what type of monetary matter strains to be sent. So all are the purpose for the your international functions are there, so that this is the way you can develop our trade unionisms basically. Now your development of the now international function, another various structural type of your unions are there. There is only for this there are some as follows emerged over things. There is your industrial unions, then your general unions, enterprise unions, your state sponsored unions, and national unions. The main feature of this, each of the unions are discussed next slides. There are some of the structural givens are there, where the structures and the leadership recognitions of the things, independent and affiliated are there. Some of the state branches are there. So this is the typical diagrams are there for the showing the structure of these things. Now the formal sectors and its alternative form of the organizations. The following discussions relate to the trade union structure of the organizations sector. That is a formal sector which it accounts for the around the 7% only, but in the total labor force of the country. Whereas the informal sector, the organized sector accounting is nearly 93% of the country's working populations. So in spite of having a large majority of the workforce, the sector has been neglected by the trade union movements in the country. So it is some of the factual, some of the facts are given by this data as showing like this. The national unions, federations, then your. Now we to see the government of the trade unions in the India can be discussed in 3 levels. That is basically the primary level unions and your industry level federations and central federations. So managerial unions, like the trade unions and the general, suffered a minor setback towards the mid 70s. That time some setbacks was there, account of your national emergencies. Because of that, it has suffered, because as we know that time 1975 to 77, that era actually. So now, however, immediately after the lifting of the national emergency, then managerial unionism gained its momentum, and in fact during the Janata government, as we know, regime that they followed the emergency. And several officials associations were registered as unions under the Trade Union Act 1928. It is some development has achieved that time, and some of them were formally recognized by the top managements. Now, some of the boundaries of the managerial associations. What are the boundaries? That is your some of the apex, where the top layer of the managers are left out, and base, and where the white collar clerical and staff things. Normally, actually, it is in the image workers association. Normally, we are talking about the trade unions, basically for the worker purposes. But as I said, after the emergency, then it has developed by the managers associations also there. Even the middle management associations also there. They have to for the protect their services and other things. So managerial association, some of the territory, some of the diagram is there, where it is a very strip are there basically. The managerial association territory they are given. Now it is problematic to determine the limits of the association consistency of the managerial association in India, because there is no guidelines as such what to do and what the way they can proceed. That type of not a, some of the association guidelines are not available. Individual industries, supervisor and manager levels, they have to follow some of the things. According to the Ramaswamy, at the base of the managerial association, take off from where the white collar clerical and the staff unions and stop basically then. At the apex, the managerial association would evidently leave out of the top layer of the managers who may not join. So some complications there. So or be acceptable to the associations. So what lies in between these 2 points is association. So in between, that's why the territory of the things, some of the area are defining these things. Now, why the managerial unionism? So why it is required? Basically, why it is the purpose of this? So some of the major causes of the formation of the managerial unions in India are when, for example, suppose when the problems or disputes, some chaos or something, some misunderstanding is going on, something by the management, by the employees or something. So then some resolutions has occurred, some of the principles, some of the solvations, some of the solve are coming up. So that's why it is there in India. The major causes, what the basis of the causes, we have to know it. That is narrowing the wage differences. Sometimes the wage differences are not there. Seniors, managers, and workers, or maybe that gap was not there. That type of wage differences are not there. The loss of identity sometimes. Then another thing is the job insecurity. Because of that, the unions are formed, because people are thinking fear. Maybe I will be. I have to leave these organizations. The situation is like this, or maybe the company will give a letter. Your services no more required. So that situations should not become. Some body should be there. Some association should be there, so they can protect. They can see in a well manner. So that's why this coming job insecurity is one of the points. Another is the perceived need for the protection from the militant trend of the unionisms. Sometimes that is also another factor. Bureaucratic cultures is also because of that the union has formed, because the bosses are saying what I am saying is right, you have to do it. So that type of bureaucratic cultures, because of that, the people are gathered and they have to club together and formation of associations. So there is a major causes of things. Absence of the participative forums. Then another thing, promotion policies, because some ambiguities are there, because those who are not eligible, or maybe because of the political pressure or some biasing, somebody has promoted, and even though they don't have that quality, So that things create a interferences within the employees. So because of that, sometimes the promotion policy are not, if it is not fair enough, then definitely the union will be formed, or maybe some problem issues will start. So to be a third force between the working class and the management. Basically, the union are another force are there. They can between the management and the things. That force, they can directions of the force are maybe twisted. Maybe the sometimes the union, whatever we so called, we can say the force, if they towards the your worker sides, then definitely it will give a pressure to the your management sides. And if the unions are already biased with the management, so direction will the management side, management and union, they have to manage everything. So workers will be suffered. So that is one of the major issue nowadays, the third force between the working class and the management. So that's why the rule and responsibility of the trade unions is very crucial. They have to be honest, they have to be social minded, they have to really do for the good for the workers. They should not be tilled or inclined to the management sides, or may not be, or they should not be more emphasized on the workers side only, and they have to not favor to the managements if really it is required from the profitable point of view. If that they have always create a pressure to the management, then maybe the production will be hampered, maybe strike and other things will be there, which are not be advisable. Basically, they are not advisable for the management, may not be agreed sometimes. So that is also that's why the trade unions leaders are very important. So that skill is required, leadership skill to run the unions are very important. They have to balance both the sides, management and the worker sides. Now some of the activities of the managerial units, that is the protections, as I said, preventions, preservations and the improvement of the occupational interest, welfare activities, organizational interest and channel of the communications. That is very, very important. Channel of communications. This should be fair enough, they have to communicate with the workers, they can communicate with the managers also, they are the interface as they are doing. Whatever the management viewpoints are there, whichever the things they have agreed in the time of meetings, that should be passed on to the workers in a very politely and nice way. That has to be justified if it is why they have agreed the things or not. That communication is very much. Sometimes it's the confusions. Maybe there are 2 or 3 unions are there. They are different ideology or different problems. But ultimately, who will suffer? The workers will suffer. Workers' mind should not be. They are the target. They should not be in target points. Really, they have to cordially, very collective way, they have to do it. They have to negotiate with the managements for the betterment of the workers and employees, and that should be passed on to the workers in this way. It has happened. Sometimes some of the unions, they are taking a full credit. I have done these things. Other union bodies, they are saying, no, I have also participated in these things. So that the credit, I mean, sometimes the clash will be there. Conflict will start between the unions themselves. That should not be there. If the unions start conflicting each others, then who will be suffered? Workers will be sufferers. And management sometimes they may be happy with this also. Okay, the union are within their some of the problems going on within the unions. So that should not be, and that is not advisable in this way. So all the unions should be properly do the things for the benefit of the workers, and at the same time they have to see the growth of the company also. That should not be stuck up, or should not be over stress to the management. So that's why the communication is very important in these conditions. Now, employment relations in the non-union firms and your union forms. So for many decades, the concept of the practice of the employees' representations has primarily involved the representation through the trade unions, have then viewed as a negotiating agency for collecting the agreements with the employers. That concept was there earlier. The union means they have to negotiate with the management only, that's all. And somehow they have to achieve the things, okay, for the monetary benefits, whatever it is, bonus, anything, pay skills like this, compensation what is. But now it has changed. The role of unions has been a result of the general understanding that workers have to associate together to strengthening and their bargaining power with their employers. Union unfilled this role quite successfully during decades of 1950 to 1980s. Now, things as the non-union firm does not mean that the union does not exist. There are some there. In establishment, it refers to the unions where the management does not deal with the trade unions. That collectively represents the interest of the employees because it does not recognize to the union for the taking the decisions related to terms and conditions of the employment. So it also represents situations where the management consults only a section of the workers, and while it does not recognize the another sections of the workers for recognitions of the concerns. So non-unionisms occur a form because of the various reasons, it has happened. Some of the reasons are as follows, that is, your management wants to avoid the trade union influence, because that is one of the point. Management sometimes they are not interested to union should be strong enough, then they cannot implement the things, they cannot start the new projects. So that sometimes that is one of the reasons. Non-unionisms occurred by the chance and not because trade unionisms caused any problem. There's actually, as per the Guest and the Hawk 1994, he says like this. This is divided non-union organizations into several types, that is a good, bad, and ugly non-unionisms. Good non-unionisms. The good non-unionism employs the employment and the employees and advanced human resource management practices. As for example, there's greater autonomy and above the average remunerations, and the development opportunities are also there. The bad and the ugly non-unionisms are basically such firms where the highly competitive markets and are often dependent upon the larger enterprises for their works, because the competition is there, but you are looking on some of the big company, larger company you are focused on. You have not developed in such a way. So in bad non-union firms, management offers poor wages. Definitely, that case management cannot give you the good salaries. Wages are less. Work conditions are not good. Some without the malintentions, where while in the ugly management seek to exploit the, and that case some explosions in the workers are to be happened. Now, as per the Flock's 1981, he identified some of the characteristics of the non-union companies as a sense of carrying a climate of the trust and high profitability, employment security, the promotions from within the influential personal departments, and competitive pay and the package benefits, open communication channels, and better performance managements. You see, if all these dimensions, all these good things are happening or within the organizations are theirs, then there is no need to unions, because the company is looking all these things. It's not required at all. So Non-unionized organizations are also known to be characterized by the um, your egalitarians and the equality. So it is generally considered that a decline in trade unions, because the trade unions declining, is attributable to four major factors. There are some factors are there. Because of that, the trade unions are not flourish, or they are not in up to that mark. There is a structural problems, economic changes. That is one of the issues. Political and legal influences. More political influences are there. Then your managerial attitudes and the behaviors are not at par. So, and the employee attitudes and behavior also. So, non-union firms are able to manage employees as well. They get the opportunity to deal directly with the employees, and rather than through the unions. So that's why they are not bothered about the unions. Directly they can do it like this way. So union responsibility and their role are now slowly going down if the management is taking a very strong decisions, policies are good, everything. So there are no need to trade unions there. Even if it is there, they are not create any problems. So it is actually trade unions should be there. It should be there to control the things. Things are moving in detail, just like a audit, and things are going on in the right directions. So management, if they see that yes, what are the welfares, problems, if they solve everything, there is no issues are there. There is no question of the role of a trade unions. The human resource system in many of the organizations is now fulfilling the gap of the having the high involvement with the employees through their. It is still a belief that there is no substitute of the unions when it comes to protecting the employees' interest. As I said, the changing shape of the organizations has changed the form of the employees' relations in the organizations. So it is a by virtue of, because the changes are going on. So focus on this way. It is both a workers will be happy, they have to commit more committed, more productive, more capability enhancements, and at the same time companies growth, industries growth will be more profitable, and they can quality wise they can sell the things. So that focus should be there. Now unions have to a significant effect on the organizational structures and the practices by the institutionalizations, dispute resolutions through a well developed grievance process. So if the industry have a good grievance cells or grievance process systems are very good, the procedures are there, then there's very easily can be solved the things. So no need to discuss with the trade unions or the individuals like this. So cell will do all these things as a part of your trade unions, and on behalf of trade unions, the grievance cell can do everything. In our HR teams, human resource teams, they can deal all this on behalf of trade unions. So there is no need to trade unions involvements are theirs. And they are directly approach are theirs. They are the employee can write something, they can apply the some things, grievance, whatever the things they can post it through this notice board, through the mail, any communications they can do it, and that should be redressed at the earliest possible. Action should be taken very early by the management. So this is the way we can intervene of the unions are can be less, are not required at all. So that's why we have to give a more focus on these things. And economic gains and the workers. Union participation in collective bargaining is an important means of the achieving the industry harmony. So unions can be collectively, so when the very big projects are there, then that time they can have a collectively they can do their things, and they can put up in the management that this is the things are required. They can foresee for the development purpose of career path or future purposes, they can protect the employees things. So this is the way they can create some of the harmony of the industry. Collective bargaining, that's why the collective bargaining is one of the important part here, is viewed as a defining the features of the labor and management relationships in a broad senses, providing the both parties with an effective means of the managing the workforce workplace conflict, then you are addressing the worker concerns, and you are eliciting the workers' voice and input, while the grievance process is often seen as a mechanism for the advancing the workers and the union interest in equality alongside of the employers and interest of the efficiency. So collective bargaining are basically the just a survey. You can collect all the problems of the unions, the workers, where individual things can be summarized, the things, making agenda of the union and put up to the management, discuss, and finally do for the better for the workers and for the industry also. So that is one of the area. That area now the trade union can do better. But a grievance cells is just like a mechanisms where problems can be day-to-day problems can be solved. What are the individual things to create the efficiency, more efficiency and interest. Now attributes, attitudes and the approaches of the non-unions, there's some of the conflict management is one of the things. Through this way you can manage it. Then strategies may be broadly based on the following. Some of these, that is your avoidance approach, then your defensive approach, operational approach, and alteration approach, and comprehensive approach. Different approaches are there. So we have to see where the approach is very good approach, that we have to adopt it, and this approach which are negativity, then that should not be allow the things. So avoidance approach are not very good, because you are all the time you are that complaints or other things, you are avoidance, you are not taking actions. That should not be, that approach is not good. So approach is very important, and that accordingly you have to make some strategies. Now underlining the motivations. Now you see the motivation during the use of the specific practices. So right based options, there's your mandatory employment attributions, then your peer review methods, and interest based options are your mediations. The interest based options are used with certain non union firms to address the external threats, that is your mediations, and your the worker involvement and the participations methods may be directed to achieve the effective communications, and an exchange between the workers and the management, or may be used as a mechanisms for the workers to share the ideas, because what the management is want, different new ideas, creativity is required. So management has to be sit together to listen their ideas and point out the things, and if the best idea are coming from the worker side or employee, anybody's, they have to take it granted, and they can adopt the things. So firms may adopt one of the three workers participation strategies. There are three type of strategies. One is participation avoidance, and there is a production or centered participation, and worker centered participations. So third one is very important, because worker centered participation is very much needed. Avoidance always negative sides. So different strategies you have to see. The workers participation strategies are three categories are there. Then there are four dominant factors are there. That is our external pressures sometimes, then your internal organizational dynamics. Because of that, employment relations models may not be effective, very good. That's why it is some of the not fruitful, and the workforce characteristics are not at par with the standards. So some of the your approaches are important, which approach are to be adopted. So before the designing at the time of things are very important, which approach are really fit for our organizations and which will be beneficially, basically it is so that we can overreaching the employees relations. My idea is always whatever the approach, whatever the things are you are adopting, that should be create a relationship with the employee and the management or not. So that is very important. So this is overall the role of a trade union's purposes, how it has come, how it has evolved. So all these things we have discussed and different approaches are things. So now this is the way now I can complete this block. So we can look forward for the next sessions, block number 3. So okay, thank you.